Why do two 60-minute conversations leave you feeling completely opposite? With one person, you leave entirely drained and counting the minutes. Yet with another, you walk away energized without them talking much. It feels like natural charisma, but psychology reveals a precise mechanism. The explanation begins with the longest relationship study ever conducted. Harvard tracked 724 individuals across 80 years to isolate true happiness. Researchers compared wealth, job status, and material assets. None of those markers determined lifelong fulfillment or health. The single decisive factor was how people felt inside their daily dialogues. Neuroscientists eventually discovered what triggers that profound connection. Brain scans show being genuinely understood triggers a massive chemical reward. The neural reward centers light up just like eating great food. Because of that dopamine spike, listeners feel an instant, magnetic bond. If that listening is missing, the brain registers fatigue and friction. Yet most people fall into a conversational trap that ruins this completely. Most professionals assume they must prepare clever stories to impress. They constantly calculate what witty insight to share next. That urge shifts the spotlight away from the other speaker entirely. Trying hard to look fascinating actually pushes people away. Magnetic conversationalists use 5 subtle shifts instead. Consider a colleague saying they are overwhelmed with deadlines. Most people instinctively jump in with their own stressful week. Even with good intentions, that hijacks the conversation immediately. Instead, skilled listeners simply reflect back one single anchor word. That tiny verbal bounce creates a powerful subconscious reaction. Psychologists call this subtle mirroring the chameleon effect. When someone hears their own word echoed, their guard drops instantly. Because that signal confirms focus, the brain feels completely safe. Without that mirrored cue, conversations often feel competitive. The next shift handles what happens when things go off schedule. Imagine someone arriving 45 minutes late to an important meeting. An emotional reaction accuses them and sparks defensive anger. Magnetic communicators pause and respond with genuine concern instead. Asking if everything went okay disarms the other person immediately. A tiny change in daily phrasing creates an equally strong effect. With family or teammates, commands slip out effortlessly. Phrases like "pass that file" create subtle internal friction. Adding "could you" shifts a blunt order into mutual cooperation. Respectful phrasing signals equality and dissolves tension instantly. Now let us examine how top leaders deliver unforgettable compliments. Most people give broad compliments like "great job" on the presentation. Generic flattery feels polite but fades from memory in seconds. Remarkable communicators spot the hidden effort others overlook. They highlight a specific slide or thoughtful customer story. There is a fundamental psychological difference between the two. Surface compliments assess external outcomes without depth. Specific praise validates the careful thought someone invested. If you have better tips from experience, share them in the comments below. Noticing someone's silent dedication changes how they see you forever. The psychological impact of unseen effort runs surprisingly deep. Human identity is anchored in the private work we put in. When someone recognizes that hidden detail, trust solidifies instantly. Because that acknowledgement validates character, loyalty follows naturally. Without that recognition, praise feels transactional and cold. This leads directly into how to handle awkward self-criticism. People frequently share insecurities or confess their flaws. Someone might call themselves impatient or indecisive during a project. A master conversationalist reframes that exact flaw into an asset. Impatience becomes rapid execution, and hesitation becomes thoroughness. A classic story about an imperfect wall illustrates this perfectly. A builder laid 1,000 bricks but placed 2 noticeably crooked. He fixated on the flaw and wanted to tear the wall down. A visitor pointed out the 998 perfect bricks holding everything up. Showing others their broader strength dissolves their private shame. The phrasing you choose when offering empathy makes all the difference. Telling someone you were furious sounds like an objective verdict. Definitive labels make people defensive and close off discussions. saying it seemed hurtful from my perspective creates space to talk. Subjective empathy invites honest sharing without confrontation. This brings us to the fifth and most decisive technique. When someone mentions watching a movie, eager talkers take over. They immediately describe what they watched last weekend instead. Magnetic listeners keep the ball rolling with a thoughtful inquiry. Asking what resonated most keeps the speaker in the spotlight. However, the type of question you ask matters immensely. Firing off factual questions about prices feels like an interrogation. Factual grilling creates pressure and drains emotional warmth. Inquiring about personal feelings invites heartfelt storytelling. Emotional curiosity signals genuine interest in who they are. All 5 techniques share one powerful underlying principle. Real charisma is not about performing brilliantly on center stage. It is about directing the warm light onto the other person. When people feel valued around you, an unspoken bond forms. Making others feel capable is the true foundation of influence. A simple 15-second habit helps implement this during any discussion. When the urge to brag arises, take a quiet 15-second breath. A brief pause lets impulsive dopamine settle down naturally. Mental clarity returns, making attentive listening effortless. Restraint builds deeper respect than any rehearsed boast could. There is a single question you can put to use tonight. Ask someone close how they really felt about their day. Listen completely without offering unsolicited advice or interruptions. That quiet presence creates a rare sense of emotional safety. What it really comes down to is giving someone undivided attention. That simple shift leaves an impression words cannot match. Over time, people forget the exact sentences you spoke. Yet they never lose the memory of how respected they felt. The feeling of safety you provide stays with them permanently. True magnetism is an experience you give, not a performance. That quiet feeling still shapes how people remember you tomorrow.